Lieutenant Commander Marcus Webb received his orders during what should have been a routine briefing, and for a moment he thought there'd been some administrative error. This had nothing to do with military strategy or fleet coordination. This was about marriage. The Coalition High Council had decided that humanity's integration into galactic society required symbolic unions between humans and prominent alien families, not subtle diplomatic courtship, literal arranged marriages for cultural bridge building and political unity. Marcus, as a decorated officer from an influential Earth family, had been volunteered. The selection ceremony was scheduled for 2 weeks hence. 12 eligible candidates from prominent coalition families, each representing different species and political alliances. His briefing packet included extensive dossiers ranking each candidate by strategic value. The ceremony was held in the Grand Hall of Corelli's station, with representatives from 24 species present. The 12 candidates stood in a formal line, each wearing their species' ceremonial attire. Marcus recognized some from his briefings: Sarathla, the Vaindari noblewoman whose family controlled significant trade routes; Vexhari, a Kyler military official's daughter; Thesilla, from an ancient Thulmuri academic house. But standing at the far edge, positioned where she was technically present but clearly not expected to be chosen, was Kurathes, a Sylvani woman with distinctive pointed ears and skin tones that were dark and muted, almost gray in the ceremonial lighting. The Sylvani were feared across coalition space. 30 years ago, a diplomatic incident had resulted in deaths. The circumstances were complex and disputed, but the stigma remained. No family sought Sylvani marriages. They were tolerated in coalition space, but kept at careful distance. Kira stood isolated even among the candidates. The other women maintained obvious physical separation from her. Her skin was the dark gray that Marcus's briefings said indicated resignation. Her ears were flat against her skull, defensive positioning. She was present because coalition law required, including all eligible candidates, but everyone knew she wouldn't be chosen. She was a legal obligation, a checkbox, someone present to satisfy technicalities. Marcus studied her and saw something the others had missed: dignity. She stood with perfect posture despite the isolation, her expression composed despite the obvious discomfort her presence caused. And in that moment, he decided to do something that would shock everyone present. When Kira's turn came, the ceremony master's voice carried barely concealed distaste. Kurathes of House Veshkari, Sylvani representative. Kira stepped forward with quiet dignity. Her skin flickered with something between defiant pride and resigned acceptance. She offered the formal greeting required by protocol, her voice steady. "I am present as law requires, though I understand I am not your choice nor anyone's choice. I honor the formality while acknowledging reality." It was the most honest thing anyone had said during the entire ceremony. Several coalition representatives shifted uncomfortably. When the ceremony master prompted Marcus to announce his selection, the hall fell silent, everyone assuming the expected choice. "I choose Kurathes of House Veshkari." The silence shattered into chaos. Gasps of shock, murmurs of disbelief, his advisors immediately moving to object. Sarathla looked genuinely offended. Kira's skin cycled through colors rapidly: shock, confusion, something that might have been fear. "Lieutenant Commander Webb," the ceremony master said carefully, "perhaps you misunderstood the presentations. I can review the candidate's credentials if—" "I understood perfectly," Marcus said. "I choose Kurathes, unless there's some law preventing her from being chosen despite being included as a candidate." There wasn't, of course. The ceremony master had no legal grounds to object. "Very well. By coalition law, Lieutenant Commander Marcus Webb has selected Kurathes of House Veshkari." Marcus caught Kira's eyes across the space. She looked terrified, confused, and something else, the faintest hint of hope beneath the shock. He just destroyed carefully planned political alliances, angered powerful families, and chosen the one candidate who offered no strategic advantage. His career was probably over, and he didn't regret it for a second. The weeks following were politically chaotic. His advisors staged an intervention, arguing he'd destroyed years of careful diplomatic groundwork. Earth's government debated voiding the selection, though legally they couldn't without violating coalition protocols. but Marcus and Kira were required to spend time together as part of pre-bonding customs. During these sessions, Marcus began understanding what he'd actually chosen. Kira was brilliant, a xenolinguist who spoke 14 languages and specialized in cross-cultural communication theory. Her academic credentials were exceptional. She was also profoundly isolated, having spent her entire life facing fear and prejudice that followed all Sylvani. "You know why they fear us?" she asked during one of their monitored conversations. 30 years ago, a Sylvani diplomat killed 3 Vaindari officials. The incident was ruled self-defense after investigation. They'd trapped her, and she reacted to protect herself under circumstances that would justify defense for any species. Her ears flattened, but the narrative became violent Sylvani attacks peaceful diplomats. Now we're all considered dangerous. Fear is easier than understanding, and we're convenient scapegoats. Marcus learned about Sylvani culture, how their muted skin tones were considered ugly by galactic aesthetic standards, how their reserved emotional expression was misread as hostility, how their small population meant minimal political power to challenge the narratives that marginalized them. "Why did you choose me?" Kira asked finally. "You destroyed strategic alliances, angered powerful families, and gained nothing politically. Why?" "Because everyone in that hall was performing political calculation except you," Marcus said. "You were honest about what you were, an obligation, someone present but not expected. That honesty was worth more than all the strategic advantages combined. That's possibly the most foolish political decision anyone's ever made." "Probably," Marcus agreed, "but I wasn't interested in the most politically advantageous decision. I was interested in choosing someone real." Kira's skin, settled into colors Marcus was learning, meant something between gratitude and disbelief. "You realize this will define your entire career. That powerful people will never forgive you." "I know," Marcus said simply, "still worth it." During the public bonding ceremony, Marcus was given one final opportunity to withdraw, a face-saving provision his advisors practically begged him to take. Instead, he used his ceremonial speech to address the assembled coalition representatives directly. "I was ordered to choose a bride for political unity. I was given 12 candidates ranked by strategic advantage. Every choice except one was calculated for maximum benefit. That one choice, Kurithess, was considered worthless politically because her species is feared and marginalized." He looked directly at the assembly, and that's exactly why she was the right choice. If humanity's integration into coalition society requires us to participate in the same prejudices, to fear the same convenient scapegoats, then we're integrating into something that needs to change, not something we should preserve. Kira was honest when everyone else was performing. She was present despite knowing she'd be rejected. She carries her people's stigma with dignity. Those are qualities worth choosing, regardless of political calculation. Something shifted. Other species who'd remained silent about Sylvani treatment began questioning the narratives. Younger coalition members started asking why Sylvani were systematically excluded from diplomatic opportunities. It wasn't dramatic transformation. Prejudice doesn't vanish because one human made an unexpected choice. But cracks appeared in the consensus. Years later, when other Sylvani began receiving diplomatic positions previously denied them, historians traced the shift to Marcus's choice. When asked about defying orders, he gave his characteristic answer. "Real courage means choosing the person everyone says you shouldn't, especially when the only reason is prejudice wearing the mask of political wisdom." Kira wasn't dangerous or unsuitable. She was just inconvenient to the status quo. Kira, standing beside him with skin showing warm colors she'd learned to display freely, added, "He chose me when it gained nothing and cost everything politically. That choice exposed that the fear surrounding my people was never about us being dangerous. It was about maintaining hierarchies that required someone at the bottom. Sometimes the most powerful act is refusing to participate in convenient prejudice, even when everyone tells you that refusal is foolish." They'd built something real from a choice that looked foolish. A marriage based on genuine respect rather than strategic calculation. And in doing so, they'd challenged the coalition to live up to its stated values rather than its convenient prejudices.